if you live on the top of Blue Mountain Peak, or you live down in the ghetto, or anywhere you live, tourism benefits you. Whether you'd never see a tourist in your life, you benefit from tourism, because tourism earns the vital foreign exchange that we need to survive as a country.
The chamber cannot exist without the community. So if we try to link the two together, then we will have a better Negril and a more cohesive community and hotels and tourism all in one. And that's the aim. And so that's where I come in as a community person.
Hello, Throppers, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. If this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. My name is Winthrop Wellington, and I'm the host of On Deck with Throp, where we have meaningful conversations with people from all over the world, all about Jamaica. And today we have a very special presentation from my annual Jamaica investment conference, ThropX 2022. And today we'll be discussing the future of Negril. And we have some really amazing panelists, some OG Negrilians, if you will. First up, we have the then Negril Chamber of Commerce President, Mr. Richard Wallace. We have one of the founding members of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Daniel Grizzle. And then we have the now current Chamber of Commerce President, Miss Elaine Bradley. And then it's, of course, hosted by myself. We changed it up a little bit for this panel. We figured it was only appropriate. And it's a really great discussion. We talk about where Negril has come from, where we are now, and then where we would like to see Negril. And everybody has their own insight into that direction. There's a lot of wisdom in this discussion, and I think if you're at all interested in investing in Negril and also finding out why Negril is so special and such a great opportunity to invest in and to also move to, this is definitely something that I would recommend giving a listen to and giving a watch to. Before we get into the video, I just want to make a quick announcement about ThropX 2023. Tickets are for sale on our website at www.thropx.com, and all the information that you need to find out about the conference this year is there. So we'll be having our conference from November 13th to the 17th. We've extended an extra 2 days based on popular demand. And it's going to be really awesome. We have a lot of the same panels coming back from that we had last year that did really well, and then we have a lot of great ones that we're introducing and new subjects that we're going to be having. So if you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter at thropx.com, and if you're interested, get those tickets right away. It's going to be very intimate as it was last year. We want to keep it that way as we move forward in the future. But with no further ado, please enjoy this panel discussion from ThropX 2022, all about the Negril future and where we're going.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Wallace. I'm the president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce. I also sit on the board of NEGALPA, which is the planning authority. I also chair the planning committee for the IWECO project that's going on now in Negril. I'm also the proud owner of the Boardwalk Village Hotel and the Boardwalk Shopping Village, which is the largest shopping center in Negril, among other things. But I'll stop there.
My name is Elaine Bradley, and I'm a returning resident from the UK 22 years ago. Wow. And living in Negril. I'm also a director of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, and as Amashika did say, I am the assistant governor for 5 clubs in the Western Jamaica. I also do a lot of community work, and I just love Negril and want to see go forward.
My name is Daniel Grizzle. I am the owner of Sharella Inn and Mirage Resort, and I too is a returnee resident now 49 years since. What else? Well, as you can imagine, I'm the oldest member of the Negril Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm not far behind you.
Right. But I'm not necessarily the wisest one, unfortunately. But what I would like to say, I really have got to take this opportunity of praising these young people for their spirit. And as an older kind of person, it makes you feel good knowing that the future of Jamaica and Negril are in good hands, and we welcome them. Thank you.
So to start with, I would like to ask Mr. Grizzle really to tell us a little bit about the history of Negril in the sense of where we are coming from. And everybody, we came here and we've seen the beach and we've seen the development, and perhaps you've come here maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, and now you're seeing Negril Beach be very, very developed, and it's not the jungle, so to speak, that it was those many years ago. And Mr. Grizzle, I would like you to, if you can give us a little history of where Negril is coming from.
When I came back from the UK here, and I came to Negril, this was in my first business here is 1974. Now, there was only a few places along here. There was 2 hotels, a few guest houses, and most of the business was done. People just rented rooms in their house. There was no telephone, of course, and funny enough, my first property on the West End I was neighbor to his father, Mr. Wallace. And during the slow time, we would sit down, drink a few glasses of white rum, and that's how we started to plan the Negril Chamber of Commerce. Because the Negril Chamber of Commerce is quite unique. It's the only chamber that spans 2 parishes. It's the only chamber that's not tied to a parish. So we had a bit of struggle getting the associated chamber to recognize us. But eventually, we were 2 stubborn old men, so we succeed. And I must say that it was the vision of people like his father and a few of us, because when he first opened their hotel, it's called Marina's Inn now, but at that time it was called Joy Cells. And there was no electricity. He had a little engine that he starts up at night, and that was what electricity was about. And a lot of the suppliers of the hotel product never wants to sell to us. We had to go to Montego Bay and literally fight to get our supplies, but we stick to it, and it was a success. And slowly by slowly, at that time, in a sense, the chamber, and to a point still now, act as the mouthpiece for Negril, the representative of Negril, because politically we weren't important. We were just a quiet backwater, and they all thought we were just a bunch of ganja smoking people. That was the image, simple because most of the tourists those days were what they call hippies, and they would come because just the hills behind here produce the best ganja in the world. Now, it's a fact. And so that's how the industry really starts, with small people taking in guests and treating them royally, and the reputation of Negril developed as a place where you would get real quality hospitality. The sad thing happens now is that we Jamaicans, all of you and us, we have failed to invest in Jamaica. And now there is only a few of us as Jamaican who still own and operate business in Jamaica. And that sadly is our fault. But with you people here and with the effort of the chamber and example like those young people that was here, We are about trying to change it. And so we welcome everyone, but we would like to see our people being part of the growth and development of Negril.
And with that, you were talking about the Negril Chamber of Commerce essentially be the mouthpiece and representation of Negril. And there have been questions that I was had by a few people talking about why Negril doesn't have this, why Negril doesn't have that, talking about the potholes. And the way I explained it is that the Negril Chamber of Commerce is the entity that represents us, but we are not a political organization. And we do have political representation, but it's across 2 different parishes. And I don't mean to get political, but we did recently have, and I said recently in the last few years, we did have some change as far as our MP goes, and I know, Mrs. Bradley, that you're involved in that aspect of that. And I'm trying to, from your perspective, get an idea of what those changes are. Have you seen changes, I should ask, in terms of what it was before and what it is now?
Well, there are changes, but they are not very visible. And we know that there are more changes to come, but we've been hearing that for a long time. And so right now we're hoping that the promises that was on the cards for maybe 30 years or so, they are the same things that the Negrilians had said this was the way they are hoping to go. And then build on that. Now we are hearing that coming up again. And so we are hoping with improvement and futuristic plans, those things that's been on the cards for Negril years and years ago with visionary like Mr. Grizzle and Mr. Wallace's dad, these things are now going to be futuristic because fundamentally they are the same things 30 odd years ago. But now they're coming to the fore even more so, and we hope to see it, especially in my lifetime.
Can you speak to some of those promises that have not come through? Specifically projects, I would say.
Well, there are projects too, and these are infrastructural projects, because right now we have a sewage system, but the sewage system is not capable, as they say. I don't know if that Mr. Grizzle will be able maybe to expand on that. The sewage system, Negril is developing and hoping to be extended. Now, the infrastructure is not there. So we are hoping now, because they are now, as I said, some of them are coming on board, we are hoping that they will soon, like give us a proper sewage system, put in the infrastructure for water, and that's been talked about a long time. I mean, if the top, like say for example, coming into Green Island, if there's no water on the line, Negril West End don't get any. Now we are seeing improvement where we are getting more water coming to the West End. We don't know when the new Princess Hotel is open, if we will get any. But right now we're getting water when it's there. And that's been going on for years. So we are getting some improvement there. Also, the sign, the new Negril sign, when I asked Mr. Bartlett about the sign, why are you putting this beautiful sign when Negril itself, the town I'm talking about, needs some aesthetic things happening to it? And he said, no pun, and this is our president's also mark, that he says no pun in that, but that new sign is a sign of things to come. Okay. So that's where we are going.
Excellent. And Mr. Wallace, talking about, I guess shifting a little bit more to the private sector, and I talk about this on my live stream a lot, I talk about your plaza, and what that, in my mind, the shift and change that has made in the community. And it's a modern plaza where you basically could do like so many different aspects of business. You can do banking. Now we have the newest high-low in all of Jamaica there. You have chill pops, you have hairdresser, barbershop, et cetera, et cetera. I guess, did you foresee like this major change happening in the community in terms of, you're basically, in my mind, you're shifting the movements of Negril from downtown to up the beach road.
So that happened because that property was there. It wasn't intentional. I know there are a lot of people who would have preferred to see Negril grow along that stretch downtown towards Sav. However, I just want to go back a little further because Negril, as Mr. Grizzle said, Negril started out as not as a planned development. It was, we stumbled upon this as tourism, and the hippies discovered Negril, and they came and that's where it grew. It grew from. I remember as a child, as Mr. Grizzle said, coming down to Negril on a regular basis and seeing, back in the day, those days there weren't hotels, so the tourists would bring tents, and people, the residents would allow them to pitch tents in their yards, and they would sleep in the tents in their yards. And eventually people started giving up their room, giving up their bedrooms to tourists and all of that, and that's where it grew. But unfortunately, no government since then has really taken the industry seriously to say, okay, we have a great product. I mean, Negril Beach has been at number 2 of the top 10 best beaches in the world. Imagine that. We are sitting on one of the top 10 best beaches in the world. And we can do so much better if we plan it, if we do what needs to be done. And that's what the Negril Chamber has been doing. We've been trying to get the government to realize that we are sitting on a gold mine, and it needs to be, we need to mine it for the people of Jamaica. And I keep stressing, I've been president for 3.5 years, and what we've been trying to do is to get the powers that be to realize what we have and what can be done. Currently, ladies and gentlemen, Negril earns about 30% of revenue, of the tourism revenue for Jamaica. 30%, and this is in the state that we're in. Now, the minister boasted the other day that since COVID, since the pandemic, tourism has earned $5.7 billion US. So if you do the math, Negril has earned about 1.9 billion out of that for Jamaica. Now, it is woefully obvious that that money is not being reinvested in Negril. And that's what we've been trying to get them to do. And as Elaine mentioned, infrastructure, we have a lot of safety and security issues that we want upgraded. But the good thing is we have been getting positive feedback from the current government. The ministers, we have their attention, and I do hear ministers speaking about the things that we've been advocating for many years. And so I'm very hopeful that things are coming, and that's what they've been saying to us. Obviously, we can't sit and be complacent and say, okay, we're, until these things actually materialize. But, believe it or not, Negril does not have a fruit and vegetable market. And, but we are happy to say that one is on the way. They've cleared the land, and it's been years of struggling. My dad and Mr. Grizzle was pushing to get a food and vegetable market 30 years ago, and it's Yes, and in order to get it to where it is now, the Negril Chamber had to come up with 700,000 Jamaican dollars of our money that we raised and so to pay for the soil test, because it got to the point where it needed a soil test to move forward, and the ministry said they're not paying it because they are putting up the 70 million to build it, and then the parish council said they are not paying it because they don't have the money. So instead of leaving it in limbo, we decided to step in and clear that roadblock so that no more excuses. No, here is the soil test. Let's move forward, and we're happy to say that it seems imminent now. So.
Just to hop in, why do you think it's been and continues to be so difficult to get the attention and resources that we not only need, but we deserve because of what we are producing with the very little that we do have?
It's a combination of things. I don't know if they realize, well, first of all, politicians don't like to make tough decisions. They don't like to make controversial decisions. So they will try as much as possible not to ruffle any feathers or do anything that might lose them some votes or something. So, and I don't think people realize the potential of Negril, which we, the chamber, has made sure that they do know. I think most Jamaicans understand, what Negril does and how it contributes to the economy and so forth. It's also political because Negril, so we are, and this is one of the things that we've been struggling with, and my dad and Mr. Grizzle realized it and brought it to the government back in the day, and that was how they formed Negalpa, which is a planning agency for Negril, because we realized that Negril is unique. Negril straddles 2 parishes, and we're not the capital of any one of them. Let me give you an example of what happens to Negril. For our 60th independence, big celebration all over Jamaica. The government decided to allocate funds to each parish to, spruce up the town, put up decorations and so. So Westmoreland got, I think it was $1 million or whatever. Lucy got, Hanover got, and the mayor for each town decided they're gonna spend that money in the capital, which you can't blame them for that. They should. The capital needs to look good. So it ended up that all the money was spent in Salve and all the money was spent in Lucy, and nothing happened in Negril. Now imagine, Negril is the 3rd largest resort in Jamaica, and nothing was done for Negril except a few banners that tourist board put up. I mean, this is what we've been suffering from all these years. This kind of thing so one of the things that we're pushing for as a chamber is to have our own municipality or township or some kind of self-governance where we can take care of our own affairs instead of us having to depend on Savlamar or Lucy to do it. So we're working on that.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to say. Why Negril has been languishing is, as Mr. Wallace said, we straddle 2 parishes. So the Hanover Parish Council don't feel responsible for us, and the Sav Parish Council don't feel responsible for us. So we are in the middle, in limbo. And that's why Negril has not moved forward. But now they've seen the potential. There is plan for us. I mean, it goes as far as they're even talking about us, as Mr. Wallace says, being like governing ourselves. There are a lot of things that has to be put in place, but at least the discussion is there, even on the Prime Minister's portfolio, that the discussion is taking place, that somehow Negril will be able to govern itself in a sort of way. Maybe not on a big scale as Montego Bay or so, but we can still manage. And then we could also, maybe even to raise funds to do what we want to do for Negril. We could give like a minimum on each tourist coming in. We could have a green tax. We could have all these sort of things just for Negril. and then we can move forward in a better way. So if we govern ourselves, so to speak, we can still move forward even faster than we are now.
Switching gears a little bit, this is an open question, but earlier, Mrs. Bradley, you had mentioned the development of the construction of Princess Hotel and in Green Island, and then we also are, I wouldn't say at this point there are rumors, but there is development happening in Little Bay coming along. With these two big developments on the bookends of Negril, what sort of impact do you feel that this will have on Negril as a whole? And this is an open question to anybody.
Well, for me personally, all this development, we are thinking that Negril town should be the center. For my personal fear, I mean, they have like New Kingston and Old Kingston, that's one example. And if they develop Negril towards the Hanover side more, we are really worried that Negril town itself will become like downtown Kingston or Spanish Town or somewhere like that, which we do not want. So we as a chamber, we are trying to fight that we develop, even if they want to extend it, we make it Negril as a whole. So you don't have one part as a slum and the other part is the nice new part. So that's what we are looking at. So we have one whole thing.
Mr. Grizzle, you wanted to hop in?
No, I think one of the important things, and I'm glad that these areas are being developed, because Negril Town Center is going to always be the town center. And that is why with the Chamber, we are pushing to acquire a piece of land just by the bridge when you're coming in, to establish a real quality international entertainment center, because tourism needs entertainment. And the more people you have surrounding the area, the greater the needs. We already are well known for our reggae concert, which brings in a lot of income. And we already has been established as the center for casual, as they say, where people come to relax. So I think all these large hotels building up around us will only push harder for our town to develop. One other thing, we did send a letter some time ago to one of the large companies in Jamaica to look at that plot of land where they now call Little Haiti, to develop as the town center. And I think we even will have a stronger argument now that all these developments are taking place around Negril. And this is what I would like to appeal to my fellow Jamaicans who are living abroad, that they must take a keener interest in Negril, in Jamaica, but in Negril in particular, because development is coming. The only question is, will we be part of it, or will we be the bystander just looking on? And you know, one other thing I may just add here, I'd like to address this to our friends here. You can't sit back and say, this is all the money I have, I can only do this. You look at another race of people, they join together to create something, right? We always want to go alone, do it alone. It doesn't work. Most of the foreigners who come and invest in Negril, you may only see one, but they represent 4 or 5 people. Why on earth can't we do this? We must stop not trusting each other. We must start to trust each other. We must start to pool our resources together, because your children and grandchildren will be looking at and wonder, where were you when the development was taking place. Now is the time where you got to organize yourself, put your resources together, and be part of the big boom that Negril will represent. Negril will be what Miami is, because Miami is completely overbuilt. If you take a little drive on the West End, past Rick's Cafe, you see several beautiful villas going up. These are people building holiday homes. There are lots of foreigners living here in Negril at the moment. They're all renting. They all come for the winter. Some spend more than the winter. So that's the kind of investment that I think you all should get involved in. Buy property, have a piece of the rock here in Negril, and be part of the investment, be part of the boom. And anything that the Chamber can do to assist, we stand by ready with the little that we can do to help you. We want to see you back here investing and being part of the growth of Negril.
I really want to endorse what Mr. Grizzle is saying. I mean, it is a concern for most of us Jamaicans, the few of us that are still here and still own properties along the coast and all of that. We're obviously not against foreign investment and so, but you can't help but think where are our fellow Jamaicans? And most of the property along here were owned by Jamaicans, but they were sold to and I must add that a lot of the successful businesses that you see in Negril, whether on the beach or on the cliffs, the owners were once tourists, visitors that came to visit, fell in love with the place, saw the opportunity, decided to invest and start businesses, and are very successful. And if you check all of them along, that is their story. They all came here to visit and just saw the opportunity and decided, to take it. And there is opportunity here, and especially in Negril. You mentioned the large hotels. I personally don't believe that is the way we should grow our tourism, because what that leads to is a very low retention of the tourism dollar. And the more large properties like that, where they bring the tourists, they land on a plane at the airport, they go on a bus, they go straight to the hotel, they spend their whole time there, then they go back to the airport and leave. That does not do much for Jamaica. No. It doesn't. And Negril has the biggest opportunity to change that, and because of the amount of small properties that we have. And that's how we want Negril to develop in a way where it's a community. People don't stay locked up in hotels. They walk the beach. They go to restaurants. They go out to dinner. They go on excursions. They go on tours, and that's how the tourism dollar will spread into the community, and that's how more Jamaicans will benefit from tourism, and therefore will now protect it because they see themselves as part of it. There are many Jamaicans who don't see themselves as part of tourism, especially the further away you go from the resorts.
Yes.
There are many Jamaicans who don't see the potential or don't share the potential of tourism that we see. And that's one of the things that we have to be convincing them.
Yes.
That listen, it doesn't matter where you live in Jamaica. If you live on the top of Blue Mountain Peak, or you live down in the ghetto, or anywhere you live, tourism benefits you. Whether you'd never see a tourist in your life, you benefit from tourism, because tourism earns the vital foreign exchange that we need to survive as a country. So that's one of the lessons that we need to get out. But I want to also encourage my fellow Jamaicans out there. There is opportunity. And I know for a fact, but the first cry that Jamaicans have, oh, I don't have the money. There are programs. I know for a fact that the Exim Bank is literally begging people to borrow money from them. They had this program, 5% for 25, for
yes.
5 million, whatever, it's something,
Yes.
and there were no takers. Yes, when you look at the list of documents that you need to provide, most people just say, you know what, I can't.
Yeah.
But
Just break it down.
XIM. Yeah.
so yeah, there are other programs as well that want to, and it's not just tourism. They will lend money for agriculture or manufacturing and stuff like that. But yeah, there is opportunity here, and I would encourage people to take advantage of some of them, and remember, you don't have to own a hotel to benefit from
Right.
tourism. There are many other ways you can benefit from tourism, through the linkages, supplying hotels with something, offering services. There are many ways that you can benefit from tourism, and I would encourage people to look into it and to come back and help to build Jamaica.
Yeah. And just from a community perspective, as you gather, I am not a business person. I'm a retired nurse practitioner. And as I said, I've been back 22 years. And what we are trying to do is to make the community, as Mr. Wallace says, feel part of tourism. Because right now you talk to any of the local people and it's like us and them. So I am actually within the community. I do a lot of community projects as a Rotarian. And so we are trying to bring the community into the chamber as well. So you don't have to be a business person to be a chamber member or be part of the chamber. You can be an individual. And so that's what we are trying, because the chamber cannot exist without the community. So if we try to link the two together, then we will have a better Negril and a more cohesive community and hotels and tourism all in one. And that's the aim. And so that's where I come in as a community person.
And at this time, before we get into the questions, I do want to recognize Mrs. Bradley. She was recently recognized for her efforts and community efforts in New Jersey for the very great work that she does here in the community. So I want to commend her, and if we could all give her a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was very surprising, and I was honored to be that somebody from abroad actually recognizes what I'm doing within the Negril company, the Negril community, to sort of take it upon themselves to award me for community services over the years I've been here. And I was very humbled. And thanks to the Chamber and the Rotary Club of Negril, they gave me the platform to be able to do what I'm doing within the community.
Excellent. So if we have we have a few more minutes. If you have some questions, please come up. I'll give you my mic. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Couple persons earlier today, well, not today, I think since we started, were expressing a concern about, even walking along the strip, that there are a few buildings, probably former hotels, that are now empty. The question is there a data bank, or is there a way that the chamber interacts with former owners or current owners that would have the information to know whether or not these hotels will be up for sale, what's the status on them, that somebody might be interested in purchasing one, or doing something with an empty building, or somebody who is considering coming out of business? Is there a central place that information is stored? Is there an interaction with the chamber enough that if I'm interested, like I want to move to Negril now, I could come to the chamber and say, what are the opportunities available? Stuff like that.
Well, there isn't an established, organized system, but from time to time, people do write to the chamber and ask us for information, and properties. Sometimes they want us to recommend lawyers, whatever. So we do what we can in a very unofficial way, you'd say. But yes, if any of you have any questions re development or doing business, as Mr. Wallace says, he's not just the chamber president, but he also sits on the GALPA board, which is the entity responsible for planning and giving out permission.
Right, so on that, sir, I will just answer the gentleman's question that if you want to know, NIGALPA has that information in terms of all the properties and the owners and so you can request it from there. We don't necessarily know which ones are up for sale or which ones are not or whatever, but NIGALPA knows if there are development plans in place and so forth, and certainly who the owners are and so, and then you can, I guess you can reach out to them individually and try to find out, because there's no formal system or network for that, for all those properties.
Okay.
So you can check with NIGALPA.
Just to follow on that, you said that you see properties along the beach that needed developing
or seemingly empty or abandoned, right, or no longer functioning?
Well, most of them are actually sold. It's just that maybe the developers have not started building. And okay. I can give you one example. Right opposite the new hospital, the Omega Medical Hospital.
That's right.
That and right beside it, there's a plaza going up there. Now the property opposite, which is on the beach, is also owned by that same person. Okay. That's due for development. That's been on plans of past, etc., already. So, and it's a Jamaican. So, thank goodness. So a lot of the properties, I mean, as Mr. Wallace said, NIGALPA will know the ones that are not already sold, but majority of them are sold and people are just waiting.
All right, thank you.
So my question is, if you say that you want the people of the community to feel included with the tourism and moving forward with that, how are the people of the community supposed to feel about the beautiful sign? It is beautiful, that was built and placed there, and the amount of money that went into that project just being overlooked as a community. How are they supposed to feel? Because a lot of money went into that project, and it is beautiful, and it does, make a statement, but there's still people out here that don't have the basic needs or resources that they need. Yeah.
All right, so let me just say that that sign has paid for itself maybe 100 times already. Literally, every time you pass it, don't you see people there taking photos? Every single time. There are people taking, and that's the promotion that we need as a town. Now, yes, there is a lot of other things that $12 million could have done, but first of all, that sign was put up by, it was TEF funds, Tourism Enhancement Fund, that put up the money for that, right? Through the TPD code, the Tourism Development Product Development Company, right? Their mandate is to do that, to promote Negril and to upgrade Negril and to keep the product at a standard. Now, it is not that money was not allocated for social development or for infrastructure development. There are other funds for that. So it's not as simple as, that 12 million could have been used for that. They have that 12 million. They need to spend it. So they do things to that following their mandate. And, there are so many other things that money, I mean, that sign raised such a firestorm that it put the government on their back foot. Because they didn't expect it, and that's why I made a presentation at the opening of the sign, and even before all of this happened, I said to them, and Miss Elaine said it earlier, that this sign is a sign of things to come, because we understand that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and you know, and we want to uplift our Jamaicans, our fellow Jamaicans, but that responsibility comes from somewhere else, and you know, we can only do our part in terms of, you know, building our community and you know, running businesses, employing people, contributing, giving back. I mean, the Negril Chamber of Commerce is a volunteer group. We don't get paid. We you know, as a matter of fact, it costs us money more than anything else to be in the chamber.
Yes, because a lot of the things, sometimes we will get, for example, requests from the police station. They wanted water tank. Us as directors take our own money just to buy it, because we want Negril community to feel good. So we just take our money and buy it. During the COVID, we went to visit. We took sanitizers and all the things that they need for COVID prevention, thermometers, all the different things. And they said, oh, they needed a water cooler. I just went and bought the water cooler out of my pocket and gave it to them, because save bottles and all that. So, you know, the Negril people, even though with the science, as I said, the tourism industry has to do what they have to do with the monies. For example, you're selling earrings, you're going to invest in those earrings. The TPDCO, they have different areas where the money can go. And so they have to spend it in that area. Now we look to, like the NWA, which is government authority to look after the roads. Now if somebody doesn't lobby for us to get money to look after the roads, we won't get anything done. And so the chamber is there lobbying for lots of improvement to take place in Negril that will benefit the people. One of the things that will be coming on board soon is the Norman Manley Park, where it should have started already. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to Harmony Park. The Minister of Tourism said Harmony Park sets the standard for whatever parks they are going to be developing. And so Negril is next on the card. So those are things to come. And it's the chamber that's pursuing this all the time, because we want it to benefit the people, not just in the big hotels. And we think that that park, when it comes, you will see how involved the people of Negril are.
Okay. I'm sorry, one quick follow-up question. In terms of development in the town center, you have one or two, let's say, fast food restaurants, Burger King, Popeyes. When you have establishments like that come in to your hometown and just build, probably because they have the capital, how do you push back with some of that type of development, you know, opposed to a local? I like to shop local. I like to spend my money with certain establishments. Just my preference.
So it's a free market.
It is,
and,
but as a community.
And what I would say is, this is why we need Jamaicans to step up.
Okay.
We need people to step up.
Right.
If you know, there is a space, there is a place for local investments, for local restaurants, for all of that. But at the same time, we can't stop the fast food chains. We can't stop these other people from coming. What we can do is compete with them, because it's an open market. So that's what we would encourage, you know, and then the market will decide. If we establish, for example, Popeyes and maybe KFC's coming soon and all these other things, and then we have our Jamaican restaurants. But if all the Jamaicans are flocking to KFC and to Burger King and these things and ignoring the small, you know, authentic Jamaican businesses, then what's going to happen? They're going to go out of business, and these chains are going to prosper. So there's also that as well. The market usually decides who succeeds and who doesn't.
And so one of the things also as a community and the chamber is in what we are trying is that whenever new investments coming in, especially into the town center, we should have a town center meeting. So the people in the community are involved and they have a say. And so the chamber is also fighting for that. So on an offshoot of the chamber, we have got Negril United formed. And so these are people from NGOs like the Rotary, the Kiwanis, and all these are that they associate, the neighborhood watches. We have got them under that umbrella, Negril United, so that the Negril people can be part of the development and we can have that conversation together and not just leave it to the people in Kingston. So those are things that are coming on board. And because I don't know if you noticed that the curbstones are being painted, the pedestrian crossing.
I lost a hubcap.
Right, so it's the actual chamber that's been negotiating for that. So now we are seeing some type of beautification so that the place look a bit more aesthetically pleasing. So the chamber's been pushing that and you see it coming on board. And as you know, everything takes a while in Jamaica. So we've been pushing it for years and it's coming and you will see a whole new Negril in the town center, especially when that park and everything is.
Thank you. Let us know when your meetings are so that if we want to attend and join. Your meetings?
The chamber meeting is the directors meeting is every first Tuesday in the month, and the second Tuesday is for members or community people who are interested to hear what they. Right now we are doing it on Zoom because of COVID, but we might still have a place where we meet, but not yet.
So if you want to apply and join the chamber, you can send an email to info@negrilchamber.org and you can request the application form. It's on our website, which is as well. You can just Google and find the website, and the application form is there. And we welcome individuals or businesses. So you have different categories that you can join. But we encourage more people to join the chamber. That's how, as I said, if you don't have a seat at the table, your voice will not be heard. And that's what we need, more people, more Jamaicans to step up to the plate. And that's how we change things. Because the Negril Chamber of Commerce has a very strong voice. We get heard. So we want like-minded people to come on board. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there any qualifying requirements on the table or disqualifying?
No.
Noah was asking, is there any qualifying or disqualifying requirements?
No, just good character and willing to work.
He asked, do you have to live in Negril?
No, not necessarily. Well, yes, and that are abroad.
As long as you have an interest.
Right.
Yes, because we do classifications, so we invite everybody. So as we said, it's a charitable organization, the chamber. So you have to come and volunteer your services. So you can either give lecture, you can help, you can donate, whatever is necessary. You can be involved as a community member also. And so you bring your ideas and we advocate for them.
Okay.
Before we get into your question, we got a question from the live stream from Jacent. And they're asking, is there a fund the diaspora can donate to for the future of Negril?
Yes, we have what's our fund that we've just set up? No, we are doing a health center fund, but we also just set up the trust. Yes, we just set up a trust fund. I don't know if we've got the click to pay.
So anybody that wants to donate or to contribute, I would suggest that they make contact with the chamber through info@negrilchamber.org and we can begin the conversation there.
And they can also say what they would like the fund that they contribute to go towards, or leave it up to the chamber to decide what the community needs.
Next question.
Yes. Thorpe has been talking about a high school. There's no high school in Negril. I know you mentioned quite a few things that are coming on board. One is, do you have any plans for, are you advocating for a high school to come to Negril, number one, and number two?
I don't know of any immediate plans for high school. I know that we have high schools that are in close proximity to Negril. There's the Rhodes Hall, which is just up in Orange Bay. There's Green Island a little further from that. That's a high school as well. Then there's going this way. There's Little London, and then there's Manning's and Godfrey Stewart. So there are quite a few high schools in the immediate area, and we have a lot of our students or residents in Negril. Those are the schools that they would attend as high schools.
Well, that sounds as if a need. You don't recognize that there's a need for a high school in Negril. My question is, because you have been advocating for one, Thorpe, and I would think that a town like Negril would need a high school. I would think like a town like Negril should have a high school, and because it's only going to get more populated as more houses are built. It's going to get more populated.
Yes, we
I think
do.
a high school would be necessary.
Yeah.
No, I have to say, I'm from Montego Bay, but right now I'm falling in love with Negril. This is the longest I've
Excellent.
This is the longest I've ever stayed in Negril, and I'm a little disappointed with the public access to beaches in Montego Bay. The beaches that I grew up learning how to swim, you don't have any public access to these beaches anymore. Is there any guarantee that Negril will maintain that public access? Are you guys have any plans to give up some of these beaches to make, give it up to these all-inclusive hotels, or are you going to maintain the same status?
Let me tell you, right? I don't think there is anywhere in Jamaica where the local has got so much access to the beach.
Okay.
The Chamber has made it a point of its duty years ago to ensure that we have access to the beaches for the public. Negril has 5 access to the beach because you have to get to the beach before you can access the beach. So we have 5 in Negril.
Okay.
Also, the stretch from what was, those of you remember where Cosmo Restaurant is, all the way to Azul, all that shoreline is for the public. So that was one of the Chamber early issue. We took it up with the UDC to ensure that we have access, that the public have access to the beach, because coming to the beach is part of what Jamaicans do in the summertime for the August holiday, New Year's, all those days. The local take over Negril Beach, and we will always guarantee that they have access, unlike what you have in Montego Bay.
Okay.
That's something that we're very passionate about as well.
Okay.
Having access for Jamaicans. As a matter of fact, to the point where it's actually hurting us in some ways, because the access to the beach invites the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
So, but it's a right of Jamaicans to have access to the beach. So we're passionate about that as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you for throwing down the gauntlet in terms of, stepping up to the plate. It certainly piqued my interest, and I'm sure many people in here and online. I just wanted to ask, in terms of the Chamber of Commerce of Negril, is there any opportunity, or I should say, are there any opportunities for mentorship in terms for people who want to open a business, who are interested in Negril, who probably have no business experience but have the resources, the ideas? Do you offer any form of mentorship?
No.
Not. What we
That's
offer,
something to look at, though.
what we offer is being part of an entity of like-minded people who can give you advice and you know, steer you in the right direction, who can, you know, assist you with which agencies, you know, to go to. You know, we've all been there, done that. So if you are thinking about something, you can join the chamber and you know, we'll have discussions about, you know, all the intricacies of getting it done. But we don't have a formal mentorship system in place at this moment. Well, you know, for things like that, that's why we encourage more membership. We encourage people to join the chamber, so that the more members we have is a wider range of skills and experience that we can pool together to help others and to push Negril forward. So that's what we would like.
One of the things also that we do, the students that have finished university and they're transiting to, you know, working for somewhere. We've had students that's finished and they've come as apprentice in the office, in the chamber office, and they've been guided along and they see what the chamber does, and then they said, can I stay before I get... So we've had a few people that have stayed from university for about 2 or 3 years with us, and they learn and then move on, and we have other students, but not really information per se.
Okay, so in terms of, you know, what was it, stepping up to the plate? We can fling it back on you? Yeah? Well, open the door?
No. But I tell you one thing, though. While, as the president said, we don't have a formal setup, right?
Right.
This is what we have done for lots of people. When someone comes into Negril to start or thinking about doing a business, they contact us, and as individual, depends, you know, what area you're seeking advice.
Yeah.
We are more than willing, and we have always gone out of our way to help people to start their business in Negril, because we're eager to have you all to come and join us. So if at any time you need any advice, you send an email to our president and he will put you in touch with the correct person to help you.
Well, that's great. Thank you very much.
All right, and this will be the last question.
I have many questions, but I can't ask them all. But one of my biggest concerns when I think about Negril and coming here to do business is that it's not aesthetically pleasing. But there's a vibe here. There's a peace and there's a vibe. So my husband and I have been looking at it and talking about investing in Negril. But as a business owner, you want to feel like you're putting your money somewhere that is going to grow. As we wait for government to do their part, is there an organization or can something be put together where they talk about donating? People from the diaspora, like us, can donate money to buy garbage cans. In the US, we pay for trash pickup. Are there companies out here, or maybe a local person that can start a company that picks up trash along Manley Boulevard? It's not a lot that needs to be done. Just take the bushes off the fence. At night, I want to walk down Manley Boulevard, but I don't want to be wondering what's over there. I don't want to smell the trash. The beach is beautiful, but when you're going down Manley, I can even deal with the potholes. I can deal with that. I'm a real estate broker, and I look at properties all over. But that's the one thing, and if I'm looking at a lot, or I want to bring a group together to buy a lot that's $3 million US, it's hard to bring it.
You sound like you should be a member of the Negril Chamber of Commerce. This is what we've been advocating for. This is, remember, we're still living in a developing country.
I understand.
And a lot of things that we want, simple things that we see as no-brainers. When you speak to government and try to get it done, it's so painfully difficult that and I say this all the time, that the difference between private sector and government is that in private sector, if we have a problem at our hotel, right, we're gonna fix it, especially if it's affecting business or revenue. We're gonna fix it in the most inexpensive way and the quickest way, and get it done and move forward, look for the next issue. In government, oh my God, the bureaucracy and it takes years to get a simple thing done, and it's very frustrating for us. But as I said, we've been pushing for these simple things. As you know, the entire country is going through a crisis with garbage. There are places that are worse than Negril. The answer from the government is, we have 50 trucks coming. I understand that they're here now and they're being distributed. Hopefully that will help. I don't think that will solve the problem, but there's so much. But let's not be daunted. Let's work to try and fix the problems, and don't let us get discouraged by all the problems that are around, because if you're looking for problems, as Jamaicans say, if you're looking for dopey, you're going to say dopey. So,
I'm sorry to cut you.
Go ahead.
I'm not waiting for the government. I'm asking, what can be done? Do we need permission to
yes, in most cases,
have an organization that take care of that?
Well, if you want to open a private garbage collection, you can do that. Or if you are able financially to buy a garbage truck and just have it picking up garbage, hey, that would be great also. But so there are ways that you can do things to help situations. But the answer to your question is, there are private garbage companies, and yes, it's a business that you can get into here. But we've been fighting for garbage collection for oh boy, it's.
May I say, right? You ask about private garbage. Yes, we have several private garbage collection, which operates in the commercial sector. Mm-hmm. And the garbage you see in the streets are not really commercial garbage. What we have a problem is with domestic garbage. Mm-hmm. And to be truthful, you talk about the aesthetics of the boulevard, which we are all very concerned. If you come off the airplane and you turn left and you go up Ocharias all that way, the aesthetic along the roadside looks nice and pristine. Mm-hmm. But if you turn right, coming this direction, it's a garbage heap, mm-hmm. right? And one of the main reasons why, especially in Negril, we are so neglected. Unfortunately, I'm not a politician and I'm not party politics, but facts are facts. The Westmoreland has been known for the last 25 years to be a stronghold of one party. So when that party is in, they says, we don't have to take any notice of them down there. We're sure of them. Mm-hmm. And like hell, we do it every time. Then when the other party is in, they says, it doesn't matter what we do for them. Right? No, this is fact. This is why we are neglected. This is why the biggest resource in this country is being neglected. Lucky enough, or it seems to be, that we are about to have a little change. because for once we had the common sense of changing parties, right? And because we changed party after some 20 years, there seems to be a little improvement coming. And we are holding them and we are telling them the same way we kicked the one out for 20 odd years. You have no safe seat here. And politics does matter, right? And we are suffering because we have been politically stupid for 20 odd years. And we are just climbing out of it now. So yes, ma'am, the place is ugly, the aesthetics is poor, and you cannot promote tourism in a slum. And we're trying our best to change it.
Well said. And yes, as Mr. Grizzle says, we are hoping the party that's in no after 20 odd years will make some change. And we are holding them to that, because if not, they will be booted out just as well. We won't wait 20 odd years because we've learned.
Do you have a question or? Okay. All right, that concludes the last panel of ThropX 2022. So I would like to thank my esteemed panelists, Mr. Wallace, Mrs. Bradley, and Mr. Grizzle. And I would like to turn it back over to Amashika so we can close out this evening's events.
You just watched a clip from ThropX 2022. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, click right here. Or right here.